A violent wrong-way crash on Interstate 96 in Marne caused by a driver who shouldn't have been behind the wheel.
Tonight, 3 days after the crash, that driver, 83-year-old Leslie Lehman, remains in the hospital in serious condition. His wife died in the crash, and the two people in the car he hit are still in the hospital.
Over the weekend, we uncovered that Lehman was unable, I should say, to pass tests to get his license back. And new at 6, 24-hour News 8's Joe LaFurgie is focusing on the failed effort to get Lehman to give up his keys. Joe.
Brian, listen to these numbers from AAA. Over 8,400. That's the number of people killed every year in accidents that involve at least one unlicensed driver. That's over 20% of all fatal crashes. And over 2/3, that's the percentage of suspended drivers who continue to drive. But can anything be done to stop someone determined to drive when they're not supposed to? It's a difficult question to answer. In the case of Leslie Lehman, it appears that despite the suspension of his license by the Michigan Secretary of State back in April, he was determined to drive. Family friend Judy Yonker says Lehman even figured out a way to work the system, leaving the car that he had been in a previous accident with in the driveway.
And he says, I'm driving that car in the garage because the police have the report on the blue car and they won't find me then.
Police knew it too. Yonkers called them, but they had to catch Lehman behind the wheel.
Short of us sitting on his house and waiting for him to drive, or maybe the neighbor calling in and say, hey, he just left, and we can respond to that. We're limited, obviously, to what we could do. It's tough. It's a tough choice.
GRPD Sergeant Alan Knowles has had the talk with many a family member. How do you take the keys away from someone determined to drive that should not drive? His first advice, find out if there is a problem.
Do the cars have unexplained dents or scratches? Does your garage have some damage to it that it didn't have before?
And if you have to have the talk, get some help. AARP and AAA all have programs to help families and friends. Judy Yonkers doesn't know what would have kept Leslie Lehman off the road. She just wishes there were better answers.
Could have been my children. It could have been anybody's children out on that expressway.
And Sergeant Knowles offered up some of the resources he suggests to families who need to take the keys. We have links to those resources at woodtv.com.